We're now going to move on to our next session, which is called Together We Thrive, Exploring New Possibilities. I'm going to be joined on stage by 7 speakers. If you could all just chat amongst yourself for literally a minute, I'm just going to bring 3 speakers on. So I'd like you to welcome Ryan, Aisha and Richard to the stage. Right. Hello, everybody. Thank you. So as I said earlier, welcome to this session, Together We Thrive, Exploring New Possibilities. Here at Retina UK, we listen to our community and we tailor our services based on what they tell us and what they need. One of our most important roles is to connect people affected by inherited sight loss, because we know that sharing experiences is incredibly empowering. In fact, in our most recent sight loss survey, people who had been in touch with Retina UK were far more likely to say they knew how to manage their sight loss and that they felt supported. 76% compared with 61% of those who hadn't had contact. That's why we place such value on opportunities like this one. Today, you'll be hearing directly from members of our community and how they navigate different areas of life. Their stories and top tips will, we hope, spark ideas and inspire you to explore new possibilities for yourself. At Retina UK, we know how important it is to meet with those with first-hand knowledge, and we facilitate connections in many ways. For example, through our local peer support groups, both face-to-face and online, our wide range of special interest groups, including women's, men's, and young adults groups. Our talk and support service, where you could be matched with someone who truly understands and enjoy regular, ongoing contact. And of course, through events like today, it's wonderful to hear conversations in the room and see friendships forming. Alongside connection, we also provide practical and emotional support to help lead a better life today, whether you are recently diagnosed, living with inherited sight loss for a while, someone with a family history of the condition, a family member or friend of someone affected, or a professional providing support. You are not alone, and we are here for you. Our helpline is available Monday to Friday on 0300 111 4000. And you can email helpline@retinauk.org.uk at any time. We also share information in a variety of formats, through newsletter, website, webinars, podcasts, and our Look Forward newsletter. We also created special resources like Unlock Genetics and Discover Wellbeing, and there are always new groups and initiatives developing. You can also get involved with our lived experience panel to get involved in focus groups, surveys, and research projects. You can find out more at retinauk.org.uk/lived-experience. If you'd like more information about any of these services, please do come and speak to us after this session. Everything I've mentioned is free to access. But now, let's turn the focus of this session to lived experience. Over the next hour, 4 different areas of everyday life will be explored: employment, sport and leisure, mobility and travel, and day-to-day living. For each theme, 2 community members will join us on stage to share their experiences and insights. Each will speak for around 6 minutes, giving us a wonderful opportunity to learn about their journeys. I'd like to encourage you all to listen, reflect, and perhaps consider ideas that you'd like to try for yourself. And for those of you here in the room, there'll be opportunity to chat with all of our speakers from this session afterwards. We're going to get started with our first 2 topics, which is travel and mobility and employment. For this, for travel and mobility, we'll be joined by Richard, and employment, I will then talk to Ryan and Aisha. So Richard, we're first going to start with you, and you're going to have 12 minutes, a very strict 12 minutes, and I'm going to give you a little nod at 2 minutes to let you know when you're out of time. So it's over to you to tell us what your tips are with travel and mobility.
Thank you very much. Can everyone hear me? Yeah. Lovely. So I'm Richard. I've got a rare genetic syndrome called Bardet-Biedl syndrome, and that affects 1 in every 100,000 child that's born, and there's a 1 in 4 chance of a child having it. I'm fully blind, but from the age, I was diagnosed at 6 with the syndrome, and then through my life, I lost my colour vision playing pool in college. I went physically blind at the end of January 2004, and then I lost my last bit of vision, my light perception, when I was at an Ed Sheeran concert at the Etihad Stadium in Manchester. I asked my partner then, who's now my wife, what's it like outside? And she turned to me and said, it's dark. So that was when my sight went. But through my life, I've never let my disability stop me from doing things in life. And today, I'm just going to talk to you first about travel around the UK and different things you can do. And then I'll move further afield to going abroad on different holidays and adventures with specialist travel companies, but also going with your friends as well if you've got friends that you can go with. So first of all, I'll start with the UK. So I'm an avid travel on trains, been all over the UK, Scotland, Wales, England, and when you go on the train, I use the Passenger Assistance app where you can put all your details in about if you need room for a guide dog, sighted guidance, help find a seat on the train, transferring trains, assistant at a seat, and if you've got luggage or no luggage, and then there's a box you can put extra comments in, but also you can still phone up and do it over the telephone as well. So for those who are good with technology, you can do it through the app, and for those who still like to do things over the phone, you can phone up as well. And I've always had really good assistance from train stations I've been to throughout my years of travelling on trains, which will be 25 years this October. I first started travelling on trains in October 2000 when I was in college in Hereford, and I love trains, and I've travelled many places and just love visiting new places around the UK. Also, I got married last year and moved from Wales to England, and since then I've been having mobility lessons to help me get used to the area. I'm a cane user. I use a long white cane, and since moving from Wales to England, I've now started using the buses, having mobility lessons to get to the bus stops and from the bus stop back home to where I live. And through that, it's given me real good confidence to be able to get out and about in my local area. Also, myself and my wife, we co-facilitate the Talking Travel group, peer support group, which is bi-monthly. Anyone from across the UK and further afield around the world can join. It's done through online Zoom, but you can telephone in as well. And on there, we've had interesting talks from people like Seaboard Holidays, Travel Eyes, the We Walk Cane, and we had a story from a person who lived in America as well. So we've had many different speakers, and we're just finalising the speaker for the next one. Also, there are other apps you can use to help you get round. Like the gentleman was saying this morning, you've got Google Maps, but there are other apps that can help you as well. Myself, I just got the Meta glasses, which I find really helped me get about. So that's a bit about the UK. I love travelling buses, taxis, and on the trains. And when I was younger, I found myself being a bit like proud and wouldn't ask for help. But now when I go to an unfamiliar environment, I will ask for help because of not being able to see. Also, just to give people some encouragement, in 2016 I went to a concert in Birmingham all by myself, and throughout the whole experience I just asked for help. I had help getting from the train station to a taxi to get to the hotel. The member of staff at the hotel then came with me in a taxi to where I was eating, and then the restaurant helped me to cross the road, and I just kept asking people, was I at the door? When I got in the door, the staff in the venue helped me, did the concert, and then got back to the hotel I was staying at afterwards. So that gave me a lot of good self-confidence to think, I may be blind, but I can do it, and I've been doing it ever since. So that's a bit about the UK. And then further afield, myself and my wife, we have been on Seaboard Holidays to 2 different destinations. We went to Sicily in 2023 and Lanzarote last year for our honeymoon. And through Seaboard Holidays, they do tailored holidays and group holidays. And from going, so when you get to the airport where you're starting your journey, I've only been to Manchester and Gatwick having special assistance. You'll get met by a member of the special assistance team to help you check in, go through security, and also when we went to Gatwick, I found that they even helped me do the duty free that was near to the assistance lounge where you waited to then be taken to the plane. When we got to both countries, Sicily and Lanzarote, they have chaperones that will meet you at the airport, help you get your bag, and from the moment you land in the country you go to the moment you go home, you have a chaperone each day, and that's tailored to your needs, whether you want them all the time or whether, like me and my wife did, we had some days where we were out on excursions, so we had them all day, but other days we had days by the pool, so they just came and helped us to either go to the beach or to help us just to go out and have food in the evenings. I've never done one, but my wife has been on a Traveleyes holiday. With that, that is more group holidays, and again, they have a buddy system, so each day you'll be paired up with a different buddy to then help sighted guide and just be with you for the day. And then there are other companies as well, but they're the two I've used. There are more. There's Limitless Travel and another one as well. But also, you can, so that's going abroad with specialist companies, but you can go abroad with friends as well. If you're blind or visually impaired, my wife has done it 3 times since I've been with her. And when they went to Egypt, they were given the same sun lounges every day, so they knew where to go by the pool. And because this hotel they went to, it would have been a buffet style meal every evening. On 6 evenings, they allowed them to go in the a la carte restaurant because it was easier for the staff to help them with food that way. And then for myself, I've done St. Lucia, which I went to this year, and that was flying from Gatwick. The assistance was amazing, helping get to the plane. The staff on the plane were really helpful. We went with TUI, and when we landed, we got the transfer, which went smoothly. And then whilst we were on the holiday, we paid, and we had someone who took us on 2 excursions by ourselves, picked us up from the hotel, helped us to where we were going, stayed with us for the one, because it was just a morning. And then the other one we went to, we got taken to by the person who was helping us, and then they left us with the tour guide that was taking us round, and when we finished, they came back and took us back to the hotel. So those are just a few experiences that I've had travelling as a blind person, and if you've got any questions, I'll be happy to take them when we have meet the speakers later. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you so much, Richard. That was lovely and full of really insightful tips and great stories for everyone in the room to listen to, so thank you. We're now going to move on to employment, and for this we're going to talk to Ryan and Aisha. So we're going to start with Ryan. Would you mind introducing yourself and letting us know what you're currently doing for a job?
Hi everyone, my name's Ryan Taylor, I'm 24, I'm from southwest Scotland if you've not already figured that out. I'm from a very, very small village called Kellohome. It's only about maybe 1,000 people in it. So I currently am an employability mentor for a charity in Dumfries, and we help to mentor all ranges, so it goes from kids right up until people in their 50s or 60s. The main goal is to get them into employment, but we can get them into volunteering. We build up their soft skills such as their confidence, communication, problem solving. But as I say, the main goal is for employment, because that's where everyone, I think, can find a lot of purpose in life. Gives you a reason to get out of bed in the morning. Currently, I got that job because I volunteered for them for three months, and then after the 3 months, my current boss, he asked me to run one of the programs for him. It's now, the programs have slightly changed, so I'm working now in my old high school, mentoring the 4th, 5th and 6th years, so that's like the kids that are going through their exams and stuff. And I was the head boy at that school as well, so it's great to get back and see them all.
Lovely. Can you talk us through your journey with employment and how, you just touched on it a second ago, but how you got to your current job?
So before that, I think I better start from leaving school then. So I went to uni for 3 months. I went to studied philosophy, sociology and psychology. It was at University of Glasgow, and I didn't have a great experience. I didn't get the support I was needing. I was just they just told me, you're an adult now, you need to go and be independent, find your own resources kind of thing. And at the time, because I'd just turned 18, I didn't know how to advocate for myself, and I kind of went down in kind of deep depression, and so I thought, I need to leave before this gets any worse. So I left before the first Christmas. And then for a few years, I kind of jumped from job to job. I worked in a factory that produced meat. It was in the raw section, so you can imagine what that was like. I also did different jobs, like I was an industrial cleaner and like cleaning like stairwells and big flat blocks. I've also laboured on building sites for joiners, plumbers, and also some ground working as well. But as I said, I got registered blind last year, from partially sighted to blind. It was about the end of May last year, and I was still at the meat factory, and it was the Friday that happened. So on the Monday, I went into the factory, worked for about an hour, and then handed my card in and said, I need to go and find a career that I want to do. So that kind of led me to going down to Dumfries, volunteering and stuff. And again, David helped me. David from Let's Get Sporty, the owner, he helped me massively in that 3 months to build my confidence back up, because my previous job in the meat factory, I had a lot of stereotypes and stigmas from people saying that this is it for you, you can't do much else, this is kind of the end for you, as soon as you go blind you're not going to be able to do anything. So that inspired me massively to prove everyone else wrong, but no just prove everyone else wrong, but to prove to myself as well. So, yeah. Yeah,
I'm glad it sent you that way. Now, you've mentioned to me before that you've done some training at your work. Do you want to tell the delegates about that?
Yeah, so so it was about a year ago I joined, so it was about September last year I joined Let's Get Sporty. So within 2 weeks, I thought there wasn't a massive amount of disability training within the staff. So I went to my line manager and I asked, would I be able to create and deliver some staff training? And I delivered it to the rest of the staff. Basically what the training involved was a PowerPoint that I presented. It spoke about what types of jobs a disabled person can do. That doesn't matter what disability it is, it goes across all disabilities. So I broke it down into 4 categories. It was suitable, unsuitable, suitable with adaptations, or suitable with training and education. So you can maybe understand where that's coming from, but the examples I gave was, so a suitable role for a blind person, for example, would be just manning a phone, getting customer service type thing. Unsuitable would be a taxi driver. I'm not going to ever be able to be a taxi driver, right? But there's no shame in admitting that. So I would say for the next one would be suitable with adaptations. So that's finding your employer, maybe putting a bit of tech in, maybe helping with a bit of travel, different things like that. Or again, a support worker, I know like the famous Mark with Caroline, they kind of come as a double pair, so that's an adaptation that Retina UK have made to help Mark complete his role. And then they've got suitable with training and education, which is going into training courses, maybe go to university, college, but even again with the likes of training that I delivered, that can make someone's role a lot easier, because it shows them that there is a chance to get these types of jobs if we need to think of it in a different way kind of thing.
Yeah, I feel like that training needs to be everywhere, really. So you need to get loud and proud about it. So my last question, what would a top tip that you would like our delegates to leave with today when it comes to employment?
So I'm sorry, I'm going to give 2 tips. So my first tip for employment would be open and honest with any potential employers. You really do have to make them aware of what adaptations you would need, what kind of support you're going to need, because if you hide away from that, then you're only leaving yourself like in a position where you're not going to succeed where you want to. And again, that's going to affect your mental health and this and that. But my other one would be be determined to persevere, to build up your resilience. I teach a lot about soft skills in my work, so I think resilience is a massive thing. We all need to learn a bit like that skill, because if you're able to take that knockback and still step forward, it shows to your employer that you're resilient and you're going to be able to take any task that he gives you, no matter what. So thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ryan. Really, really helpful. Now, Aisha, I have the same question for you. Can you introduce yourself and tell us what you're currently doing?
So, hi everyone. My name is Aisha. I'm 24. I live in London. And I just finished my master's literally last week. Then I started my new role as a mental health recovery worker. I've previously worked for Retina UK, and now I'm here.
Yeah, lovely. How did you find accessibility throughout your studies?
It's interesting because during my undergrad, it wasn't so straightforward. I had to do a lot of fighting just to get kind of basic support. That's when I brought in one of Thomas Pocklington, which is another sight loss charity, and they really helped me out. And then with my master's, I cannot fault the University College London. They were absolutely fantastic. I was really clear in what I needed. I said to them before I start, can I have someone to show me around? They were like, yep, we've hired someone, go out. I said to them, I need all materials adapted, and just the way that the course was operated, everything was, electronic. So yeah, I've had like 2 different experiences, but definitely when you're open and honest with the university and when they are accommodating, it really makes a difference.
What advice would you give to someone who needs better accessibility in their studies or work?
I think in a perfect world, we would want, the accessibility we need, but we don't live in a perfect world. I would say just keep to your guns and keep fighting, because you're not in the wrong, and yeah, just keep fighting for what you need because you deserve it.
It's great, it's really helpful advice. Now, you told me literally 2 days ago that you got a new job and that I could ask you questions about it, because my next question was going to be, what are your plans for the future? But you've got a new job already.
Yeah.
Well done, a week after your master's. Can you just recap what that job is again?
So I work as a mental health recovery worker, specifically in a crisis service. So we see patients who come in who are facing a broad range of mental health difficulties. I started this week, and yeah, I'm loving it.
Great, I'm so glad to hear that. How did you find applying for the job?
You know what, I can't really take credit. I have to give credit to Blind in Business, who are an amazing sight loss charity, and if you want to go into employment or anything, I would definitely go to them, because they helped me throughout, writing my CV, interview prep, everything. So I have to thank them.
And have you found that your induction process has been helpful? Have they, as you said earlier, met your needs?
Yeah, I mean, I was really clear in what I needed, and so far they've been really great.
I'm really, really glad to hear that. Now, my last question to you then, is the same one I asked Ryan earlier. What would a top tip be to our delegates about employment?
I would say go for it. I was lucky to kind of grow up with the idea of never to let, your disability get in the way of what you want. But obviously kind of life happens and, things happen, and I've kind of had to rebuild that. And now I'm just like, if I can't do something, I'm like, well, why not? So don't let, your disability stop you from getting what you want. And also reach out to the amazing sight loss charities such as Blind in Business and Look UK and Retina UK, because they are there to help people like us.
Lovely. Thank you 3 so much. We're now going to do a bit of a switcheroo on the stage. So next up, we are going to have Devinda, Mark, Rob and Keith. Right, thank you everybody. Thank you for your patience. We're now going to move over to the next two topics, which are daily living, where we'll be joined by Mark and Davinda, and sport and leisure, we'll be joined by Rob and Keith. We're going to start with Davinda and Mark, and just to reiterate, you have 12 minutes.
Got to do this in 6 minutes. Right, well, my name is Mark Baxter. For many of you that know me and know my voice, I am the Information and Sport Coordinator for Retina UK. We run our peer support group network and I collaborate with all of our amazing volunteers, facilitators that have their peer support groups all over the UK and do amazing activities from a localised level. What I wanted to talk to you about today is the importance of daily living and being the person that you want to be. And a few years ago, I listened to a lot of the calls that we had and I realised there was lots of struggles and lots of frustrations in people's daily lives. So we sat down and we created our focused interest peer support groups. And it's called our Talking Series and it started out with technology. Oh, sorry. Sorry, can everyone hear me now? I'll start again. Sorry, can I start those 6 minutes again? Sorry. So my name is Mark Baxter. I'm the information. Right. So I'm the Information Sport Coordinator. So many people that know me, and know my voice, I run our peer support group network. I collaborate and liaise with a lot of our volunteers in regards to our localised peer support groups and our other online groups. But in regards to daily living, we listened to our community, we found out what their frustrations and their challenges were, and so we set about creating our focused interest peer support groups called the Talking Series. And it started with technology, and then we moved on to other aspects of daily living that we found that were challenging to our community living with inherited sight loss. So over the last few years, we have created Talking Travel, which is run by Richard and Rachel, who you just listened to momentarily ago. We also have launched this year our Home and Garden Peer Support Group. And I'm delighted that we are recruiting a volunteer for that as we speak, and also our Creative Arts Peer Support Group. And the reason we wanted to create these groups is they are led by facilitators, but they literally are governed by questions that are answered by our community, and then they are answered by our community. It's literally a group for you that is led by you. So all of the tips and hints that you struggle with, you can just ask the group, and they have their adaptations and they have their ways of doing all sorts of daily living tasks, whether it is using different types of technology, whether it is daily living, home and the garden, you know, ways of doing different things. I myself, I've got RP, I've been living with it for the past 35 years, and I have built up my own level of adaptations and ways of dealing with, well, I can't do that. How can I do that? It's a problem. I need a solution. Can I do it without using my vision? You know, I've got other senses. I will use my hands. I will use my sense of smell. I'll use my hearing, anything that I can to get that job done. And this is what we wanted to embrace our community to go ahead and do for themselves. So, you know, if you love doing a task or an activity, you shouldn't have to stop doing it. And it was very eloquently said in one of the videos about the chap that loves music. Why should you stop giving up a passion just because you can't see what you're doing? You should always be able to continue on doing those things, and that is why our Talking Series was created, so you can discover new experiences, new skills, new talents, you know, or just dust off an old one that you would like to reconnect with. You shouldn't have to think to yourself, do you know what, I can't do this anymore, I'm going to stop, I'm going to give it up. I've seen and heard so many people say, I don't want to do music. I can't do music anymore because I can't see the music notes or I can't see the instrument, you know. And it makes me think, you know, you shouldn't have to be able to still see things to be able to do it. How many people in this room are living with inherited sight loss that can still tie their shoelaces? So it's one of those things that you don't need sight to still be able to do things. It's the simple things, you know, doing your daily activities at home, making a house something to be proud of, having a garden and grow your own vegetables, anything that you want to do to make your lives empowered and just to live the life that you actually want to live. And we are hoping next year to continue the talking series with other aspects of daily living, whether it is sports and leisure. We love to do something around music, audiobooks, but if anyone has any ideas and frustrations and challenges that you're living with that we are not doing, then please come and see me during the Q&A and the speaker sessions, and we can see whether that is something that we can make possible. And now I'm just going to hand over to Devinder, who will talk a little bit more about the technology side of daily living and how you can embrace technology also through our Talking Tech peer support group and in your daily lives. So over to you, Devinder.
Cheers, Mark. Do you know what? That trap door. Yeah. So we had a joke before Mark was going to have a trap door if he went over 6 minutes. Lauren, did
He came under 6
Oh,
minutes.
all right.
Yeah,
I don't have to press the button. So good afternoon, everyone. So yeah, I'm Devinder Kaler. I have X-linked RP, and I diagnosed blind at 13. I've been a technology trainer for probably about 10 plus years, worked for the national charity, and when one of the teams, who some of you might know, last year, we were made redundant work. Now, as of last year, set myself up as a trainer, teaching technology for people. As a trainer, I guess it's easy for me to go straight into the kind of technical stuff, so I don't really want to go there. I think what I think is important is to start with, I think, by way of clap of hands, give me a clap if you've ever felt like life is full of change and it's just unsettling. Okay. Yeah, cool. I love that Mexican wave, that's why it goes back. So for me, I've had that, and I think that's the first point to start, because I think it's a real big emotion, and it's an emotional journey. I'd say in my experience, about 60-65% of even learning something new, adapting to something, it's about being enabled and independent. And daily living, I mean, I could go straight and say, let's go and do some whizzy stuff with some smart homes, but let's start with the simple stuff. You know, you wake up in the morning, what's your success? It's, you know, do your bed. You know, reward yourself for that, because sometimes just smiling, if all of you just sit here and smile, I'm sure your endorphin levels will go up. And so be good to yourself and say, yeah, do you know what? It's been a rough morning or a rough night, whatever it is. Just start with that. Start your day off well. How do we adapt? I was talking to a few people recently. I said to them, well, if I take a shower, let's take it task, because that's the way I like to teach people. You know, if I'm struggling with something, I don't know, put an elastic band around the shampoo, leave the conditioner alone. And that could be a simple solution. Bump-on stickers, you know, some of us know about just popping bump-ons on microwaves. I think it's all part of a tool in a toolkit. And the analog stuff is just as important, because if you have partial sight, no sight, if you have audible equipment, or if you have touch, like braille and keyboards, all of this stuff, just use it to the way because we're all individuals, right? Because I'm from an Indian background. I don't know if the name gave it away, but it was simple. We've had this philosophy that our hands and our fingers and our hands don't match, right? And for years, I was like, yeah, my grandfather, because I was like, yeah, he goes, son, you don't tell anybody outside the house, okay, about your blindness. And I was like, Granddad, that's going to be great, but you know what? Every day, it includes the relationships you've got around you. So my barrier was cultural. So I had to be verbally independent. So that's a massive skill I'd give to you guys, daily living. Just, you have to have that confidence to explain to people who, it's not their reality. They don't understand what it's like to live with blindness. And for that reason, just be strong in yourselves. It might also be, and another situation where, like, it could be partners. I'm lucky to have a great partner who is day blind. I'm night blind. It works great, but he's great. You know, supports. We label stuff. I make and cook and clean. So all of this stuff that are all ingredients, if I use the food analogy, to getting over those barriers. So technology-wise, how does that lead into? Well, you got up in the morning, you've done your bed. What does that mean? Well, you've got smart speakers, which you can integrate with things. I'd often, for example, I've got this microwave, that's lovely, but does it talk to me? Nope. So therefore, what I've done is, I've got these clicks, and I've roughly realized about 10 seconds a click. I could go on, Christopher talked about using AI, but do you know what? It's not quite there. It's a bit of a faff. So I just use the smart speaker, set a timer, and then if the microwave goes off first, then I know, okay, I've underdone it. You know, in terms of, I'll ask a lady or someone on the speakers, it'll say, you've got about 20 seconds left. Or if the A lady goes on and the microwave's still running, I know I just switch it off. The point I'm saying is it doesn't have to be complicated. The stuff, getting it in place feels like that sometimes. But I think find out what the top tip I want to give you with technology is, what is the objective you've got? What do you want to do? And I could sit here all day like you did with Christopher. I'd heard about AI is this. I did a presentation for the professionals, and I joked, so I called my presentation AI AIO. I like the nursery rhyme. And the reason I called it AIO, because it feels a bit like it's a bit of a child at the moment. And the O means oh wow or oh dear, because it can lie to you. And I think as much as all these tools and tech is great, whether it's you need that support from someone like myself or someone in the sector, like Mark said, you know, the peer-to-peers, I think we're in a really good time. We always are. Every year, the tools get better for us. So just, I think from a top level, I want to just say, be verbally independent, have your allies, and the tech will follow. If you just need a bit of adaptation, lean on each other, and we'll get there.
Lovely, thank you. Thank you both so much. And you both actually stuck to time really, really well. So thank you. Right, we're now going to move on to Rob and Keith and discuss sport and leisure. Rob, let's start with you.
No pressure. Are you going to give me a 1 minute warning?
I'll give you a 1 minute warning.
All right. London, you look fabulous today. Give yourselves a clap. Come on, guys. Okay. That wasn't quite as good as I was expecting. So should we try that again? London, give yourselves a clap. You look fabulous today. That's better. Okay, now, I am injured. I look, to anyone that is an expert in body language, I look like I don't want to be here, but I'm super excited to be in front of you. I'm a sports therapist, a personal trainer, a running and triathlon coach. I've done it for 21 years, and although I don't look older than 20, I am 44. I've been into sport my whole life, and it's something that's really important to me. It's given me confidence, it's given me a career, it's given me the opportunity to be in para-triathlon, which is swimming, biking and running with another human attached to you, which is really interesting. And if you want to get involved in it, come give me a shout. Now, I was going to sit here and tell you all about how important health, fitness, sport, leisure is. But I think you all probably know that there are so many benefits to doing all of the above. That was going to be my message 9 weeks ago. And as someone that's been in sport my whole life, it was always something that was massively important to me. Now, 9 weeks ago, I had an accident at home. I have retinitis pigmentosa. I'm blind. I hadn't slept well. I'd overworked myself. And I tripped over my dog at the top of the stairs and fell right to the bottom. So hence the shoulder is playing me up, and yeah, I keep trying to keep it moving. That accident broke my pelvis. I know. It fractured my spine. I got a big bash on the back of my head, which I covered by my fabulous ponytail. Plait from my wife, and I've got a bleed on the brain. I know, it's terrible. But when I was in hospital, one thing that kept coming up, everyone was saying, are you sure you're going to go to London and be at the conference? And I said, it's not on the table for discussion. I'm coming, whatever state I'm in, I want to be here because as a blind person, as someone with retinitis pigmentosa, it's important for me to give you 3 bits of advice today, and this is what I wanted to make sure I was here for. So no matter what happened, I was always going to be coming. So, tip number 1 is if you have a dog, do not allow that dog to wait for you at the top of the stairs, because if you can't see very well and you're not paying attention, you may end up at the bottom of the stairs and in hospital. So that is tip number 1, all right? So any pets, dogs, any pets, that's what I would say. Now tip number 2, I can't remember tip number 2. Oh no, that's not good, is it? Should we go to tip number 3? We'll skip number 2. It'll come back to me. You see, this is the head injury. I forget stuff. So tip number 3 is all about, I remember tip number 2 now. Good, I'm going back. Cool, no pressure. Tip number 2 is sight is really important in this world. And retinitis pigmentosa took my sight away from me. So it makes us feel vulnerable. And when I was in hospital for the first time in my life, I didn't have my strength, my fitness, my health, or my confidence to get me through stuff. So what it made me realize is that actually, if you're someone that doesn't have that and doesn't have that as a foundation, then life can be pretty scary and you can be quite vulnerable. And something that I want to work really hard at, and something that I try to do with my YouTube channel, which I haven't plugged yet, but I'm going to, it's called Blind Focus with Rob Sears. And before my accident, I started doing accessible workout videos for people with bad sight, blindness, sight loss, so they could get involved with exercise. Because one of the things as a personal trainer I get is, yeah, it's all right for you, you've been doing it all your life, but I can't do it because I haven't got equipment, or I don't go to a gym, or I don't have people around me to do it. So I thought, well, if I produce videos that you can do for free at home with no equipment, no one's got any excuses. So that's what I was doing, right? So the thing is that sight loss makes you feel vulnerable, but we have the power to take charge of our health, our fitness, our leisure, whatever sports we want. And like everybody has said today, people with sight loss are resilient and they adapt and they overcome. But if you haven't got the confidence to do that, it's very easy to kind of step back and not go out of the house and think about what if this happens, what if that happens. You know, it can be a scary place, a scary world. So my tip number 2, which I've remembered, is that you are in control of this. You've got the power. So although you might feel vulnerable and alone and that you can't do it, you've got the power to take control of that. So that's my important tip number 2. How much time do I have, Lauren?
You have 5 seconds. So you've done very well.
Damn it. Okay, really quickly. Tip number 3.
I can give you a minute. You're fine.
Thank you. So tip number 3 is very simple. I said to my wife today, this is the first time that I've spoken at a big conference. It's day 2, but work with it. And I didn't think I would be able to get you guys standing up, giving me a standing ovation. All right? So, I love sport, I love activity. I'm injured and broken, but I will be competing in triathlon next year. Not doing marathon to subs, but maybe another time, Graham. That's what I'm going to do, and I'll get there no matter what. But for people that have never stepped foot in the gym, gone out to do stuff, it can be really intimidating. And the thing is that fitness professionals always say, focus on the why. If you remember your why, it will motivate you to get to your end goal. For people with sight loss, I think the why stop us from doing things. So why would you stand up and give me a round of applause and standing ovation? What if no one else stands up? What if you look silly? What if I'm saying this on stage and I said to my wife, if nobody stands up, if I don't blow the roof off today, I'm never going to speak ever again in public. Now, I've shown you that I'm willing to take that risk, right? And you might go, no, I'm not doing that. But the point of this is that when you leave here today, whether you stand up, whether you don't stand up, it's irrelevant. The fact is that you've got the power to go, you know what, my brain is telling me I can't do it, I don't think I can do it, I'm going to go and do it anyway. And whatever it is, leisure, sport, triathlon, my YouTube videos. Please subscribe and do the workouts, all right? That's it, that's my message. That is 3 tips. If you could, thank you.
Well done, Rob. You got us all standing.
Oh, right.
Thank you so much, Rob. That was brilliant. Right, lastly, we move on to Keith. Now, like myself, you have an interest in the arts. So can you tell us, did your interest in the arts begin before or after you experienced sight loss?
Well, when I was at school, it was suggested that art school might be a potential career path. But although my RP, which I have, had not then become apparent, I had difficulty in producing accurate drawings of plants, which in 1963 was a necessary requirement. Fortunately, my art teacher was a brilliant man, ahead of his time, and he recognised that adaptations could be made. And so he taught me art history, a somewhat esoteric discipline in those days, instead of the ordinary art, so that I could take that at O level, which is what GCSEs were then called. And this sparked a lifelong interest, but much more importantly than this, subsequently it turned out to be a common interest with a girlfriend who turned out to be my wife. However, I did maths at university, which is very similar because it requires imagination and the ability to appreciate and create patterns, and then worked as a maths teacher until I was 46 when I became severely sight impaired. We carried on visiting art galleries and so on. My son declared at an early age that he wanted to be an architect, and so there was often discussion of visits to galleries and so on among the 3 of us. As my sight really became too bad to appreciate art, pictures, paintings and so on, in the way that they were fully intended to be appreciated, I adopted basically 3 stratagems which I still use to apprehend the visual arts. The most important of these is probably the touch tour, which many galleries now hold. These are sessions whereby visually impaired people are invited under supervision and with guidance to touch or handle works such as sculptures, bas-reliefs, and 2-dimensional works, paintings, drawings and so on are described. I've been going to these at Southampton City Art Gallery since 2001, but I'm very pleased to say that these do seem to have spread throughout the country. And the person who runs these in Southampton, herself fully sighted artist, but she has a wonderful understanding of sight loss, and in a sense she does our seeing for us. And when one does apprehend the visual arts, it is a way of seeing. You need help, you need a guidance, you need devices to do this. And another device is the use of tactile embossed pictures. There's an organisation called the Living Paintings Trust, which is a library of albums of such pictures. These are thermoforms, and they are accompanied by audio commentary, and the two together do really enable one to see either works that one might be familiar with, or more importantly and more interestingly, stuff that one's never seen or come across before. And the third device that one can use is a 3D printer. It is possible to make 3D prints rather like the thermoforms of pictures, and also it is possible to download from the internet printouts, models of sculptures, although these I think are rather rare at the moment. There is not a vast library of these, but these can be used in this way. As well as that, I am group leader of a University of the Third Age art appreciation group, and we meet once a month. I'm the only visually impaired member of the group. The others are all well, more or less normal. What we do is we simply agree a topic and then download from the internet printouts, and we talk about them. It's as simple as that. So obviously I rely on memory and go back to stuff that I've known many years ago. Also, a couple of years ago, I published an article in a journal for collectors of a particular artist. I didn't tell the editor that I was blind, but then he didn't ask. Also, I've carried out a number of accessibility audits in my role as chair of Winchester Accessibility Forum of museums, galleries, and so on throughout Hampshire, Dorset and Sussex. Also, I've set up or helped set up and advised on the setting up of touch tours at Winchester Cathedral and Winchester College, where the fabric of the buildings themselves is extremely interesting, as well as the many artifacts and works of art that they contain. And I've given talks to guides at National Trust properties and other forms of museum. I've occasionally, I don't often go to the theatre, I have to admit, but on the occasions when I have done so, I've found audio description quite useful. Usually this is advertised in advance anyway, or if it's not, ring them up beforehand and pester them, and you often do get an audio described a pair of earphones that you can listen to an audio description. And sometimes this is quite useful. I've been able to explain jokes to my sighted companion because the audio describer has described what was going on the stage, if it's a visual joke, which may not have been apparent to the rest of the audience. And people have sometimes wondered what I was laughing at. Also, a couple of years ago, I got into open mic poetry sessions. Now this was in fact entirely due to my RP. I was walking along a street and walked into a timber beam that was projecting from one of the 15th century half-timbered buildings in Winchester. A kind lady who was nearby came running. "Are you all right? Are you?" "Yes, thank you, yes, I'm fine." We got chatting, and it turned out that she attended open mic poetry sessions, and not long afterwards we attended one together and have been going to them ever since. So we met on Timber rather than Tinder. But yes, okay, thanks. But I'm welcomed at, and any other blind person would be welcomed at open mic poetry sessions for two reasons. We've got two advantages. One is we are not reading our stuff, and so we're not looking down, mumbling into our laps. We are looking out at the audience, and they can hear us clearly, whether they want to or not. And secondly, my work has to be brief enough for me to remember. So what it lacks in quality, it makes up for in brevity. So what I would say is, particularly when it comes to the visual arts, there are some things that people want to continue when they lose their sight because they've done them before, but there are other things that you might take up that you've not done when you were sighted. Being interested in the visual arts, going to galleries, as I say, is a way of seeing when works of art, visual art, are analysed for you. So don't be put off. Try it if you've never tried it before. If you don't like it, then don't go again. But don't be put off also by the fact that some people say, oh, I don't know anything about art. Well, let you into a secret, neither do I. So don't worry about that. It can be great fun, very rewarding. And if you're going to any venue, be it a theatre, an art gallery, a special event at a museum or heritage site, and you want to know whether it's accessible for you, the top tip is ask, either before you go, when you get there, both, but don't be put off. Whenever I've asked, I've yet to encounter anybody, the person whom I've asked, as being other than understanding, sympathetic, and most welcoming.
Thank you, Keith. I just wanted to finish by saying a huge thank you to all of our speakers. As I mentioned earlier, they're all going to be hanging around for the Meet the Speaker session, and all 7 of them, we're going to go into a room just in the corridor there where the lunch bags were, and they'll be on a table. So if you have any other questions, because they had so much to say, I'm sure they have so much more to say, please go find them in the Meet the Speaker session. Just give them one final round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. Just before you all set off to the Meet the Expert session, I just want to take a moment to thank absolutely every single one of you, online or in person, for making today such a fantastic time. I want to say a special thanks to our speakers and our amazing inspirational speakers and panellists on the stage at the moment. These rich discussions and insight make these days so special. And this year is extra special because we're 50 years old and you've helped us celebrate that with the most amazing inspirational insight. And I am so grateful to all of you. I know that presentations take a long time to prepare, so thank you to all of the speakers today. We really appreciate your time. I'd also like to thank our headline sponsor, Johnson & Johnson, as well as our other sponsors, Avantgarde, Alkeus, Beacon Therapeutics and Octon. Without your funding and your trust in us as a partner, days like today are not possible. And of course, our exhibitors who have done a fantastic job of engaging all day long. Lastly, I'd like to thank our staff and our volunteers. It's your dedication, it's your hard work that makes events like this possible and all the work that Retina UK done. And on this 50th anniversary, I want to thank all of you from the bottom of my heart for being the best crowd to work with. You always get it done. And look at the care today. I think you've made it an absolutely fantastic time. And before I forget, Eve has instructed me to tell all volunteers, 6:30, floor 1 bar. I believe you understand what that means. I certainly can take the hint, that's for sure. As ever, Retina UK is totally dedicated to you, our community. Your feedback shapes everything that we do. So please keep sharing your thoughts and feedback with us. And there's a form somewhere around, I'm sure we've got them, that you can fill in and give it back to us. It's really invaluable for all of us to continue to improve. So thank you again. It's been a fantastic day. I really look forward to seeing you at future events, and have a safe journey later when you set off. Take care. Thank you.